been after it for a while.
It would be boring if it was.
I appreciate Tim being here, but your plea on Saturday didn't seem to bring any more.
Well, you know, one can try.
Yeah, it was definitely heartfelt, I could tell. Be nice to
That's
have
fine.
more
Participation.
participation.
Just getting off work, getting home.
True,
Mhm.
but it seems like you have plenty of participation in social
Every day.
media. Huh?
Some people, you have families, the wife's, you be over dinner.
What do you mean? I make the dinner.
Maybe it's the husband that says that to his wife.
Yeah.
PJ, did the town hall only bring one meeting to you?
What's that?
Did the town hall only bring one person for a meeting to you?
Yes, you mean for
Oh, for the
council seat?
council?
Just overall general from the public? How many people came up to you to set up a meeting?
Oh my lord, you mean like during the town hall?
I think you mean right after, don't you?
Yeah, right after, there were several people, many people. I know the mayor spoke with several people and so did I. Several of the counselors who were here, thank you for the folks who were able to be here. I know that folks had the conversations with the public and a lot of people interested in budget committee or at least wanting to know more about it. And city council, one person said they're going to get on my calendar, like I was saying. So they were the only one who were really serious, but many people with many questions. That might be the person.
She's also interested in the parks.
Oh, okay.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good.
Good.
Excellent.
I know that's how I started this.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I started planning and then budget and then here I am.
Well-
Do we have Counselor Ray on?
Yes, Counselor Ray, can you hear us?
And that'll life coming.
Not according to my wife.
Can you hear us? Yeah, let me text him.
Is he the only one online?
Say that
Looks
too loud.
I know. Oh.
Counselor Ray, can you hear us?
He says yes.
Okay, and how about now? Can you still hear us? I just switched the microphone to these guys.
He's trying to turn his mic on, but he can hear us.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna do roll call, so it'd be nice to be able to
Yeah, he
hear
looks
him.
like he's on mute.
He is. Yeah, you're muted there, Counselor Ray.
Just do him last. He'll figure it out.
We could just kick him out. I was trying to find the unmute option for him. All right, sir, we'll look for your hand raised and as Mayor, I suppose we can consider that his
Yeah, we'll have to if we can't hear him. That's fine.
okay.
Okay, let's do roll call real quick.
I'll tell him to raise
Okay.
his hand in team, or it's teams.
It's
Yeah,
James,
yeah.
Yeah.
Chat and teams.
Either chat or put something in chat or
Yeah,
raise his
Chad
hand.
too, yeah.
Okay, Counselor Myers,
Here.
Counselor Cuthbertson,
Here.
Counselor Williams.
Here.
And why do I keep forgetting about Counselor Evans?
Moving her around.
Stop doing that. And then Counselor Ray. Perfect, got it. All right. All righty, everybody's here, so we will proceed
Can you
onward.
click that on mute now, over next to it?
I see it goes away and there's typically, I have the mute participant option, but I can't unmute somebody.
You could lower his hand though, right?
Yes, I can. I can also make it, hold on, let me try something here. I can make him a full on, like as if he could attend and then. No, I won't disable your mic.
Make him a presenter.
Yeah, I can make you should be able to if you uncheck or use the little button there on the mic. I know you probably know this, Counselor Ray, but the little mic button has a slash through it. And if you uncheck that at the top right corner, you'll be able
Hopefully.
to, I think, speak. And I can share my screen and show you too.
That's all we do anymore, Teams meetings at work.
Right. So, and Counselor Ray, this might not be your issue, but this option right here. I can see on your side that your microphone is off. See me kind of pointing to it above my hand. The way that you fix that is this guy right here. Hey, you are, nope, it almost looked like it.
We're looking at yours.
And then another thing to try out, Counselor Ray, is that if you,
It's not highlighted for him.
okay, so then what's going on is this.
Mic connected.
If you hit this little caret, this drop down to the right of the mic, you'll get to choose which microphone you want to select. I think you want to select one of the ones that's going to be closer down here. But toggle through them. One of them will work. You may have multiple speakers or microphones.
You heard me.
We're getting all educated on Teams.
He's texting.
Your computer has laryngitis.
I'm gonna tell him to go to the mic. Go to the mic icon and then the drop down arrow right next to it, click on that, and then you should have different speaker options.
And microphone options, yeah.
And choose the one that will best.
Speaker or microphone.
You know what I do is I use the plug-in headphones because they're a lot
Mhm.
easier to connect up and make sure you're working.
Yeah.
I totally do the same thing. And sometimes I have like a Bluetooth.
Yeah, he's
that'll
got
take-
a, so click on the microphone, not the caret, but the microphone. He's got a red line through it now.
Okay.
So that just means that. I'll just tell him, maybe we can just have him raise his hand or do the chat function.
Yeah.
Sometimes if he's on his phone, he can use his phone to actually call into the meeting.
You could use your phone to call into the meeting if you joined it by your phone. We could also call you and just have you on speaker, which would be fine, I think.
Or we can call you.
Oh, he's leaving. I think he's gonna pop back in. The old,
That's
turn
what
it
I
off
had to
and
do
turn it
the
back
reading
on.
and
Yeah.
turn
I
the
did that
reading.
before.
Yep.
Stupid did.
Absolutely.
I had the same problem when I was doing Zoom just a couple days ago on my reunion committee meeting, and I had to pop off and come back on, and it worked fine.
and you guys probably remember this from COVID, but everybody has a different system they like to use. And the settings for Zoom are oftentimes different than the settings for Teams.
Oh, I hate it.
And sometimes you just need an update and sometimes it's just not liking the microphone and pick
Yeah.
another
I
reason.
didn't do
Sometimes your
anything
VPN
different
can-
other than pop off and back on.
Yeah, I know.
We use
Keep it simple.
Google, Teams, Zoom. It's too much. They're all have different
Yeah,
settings.
Teams. yeah.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
We'll wait for him to pop in
Fabric.
here.
Oh, that's a new one.
Mhm.
Okay, so, Counselor Ray texted me a little bit ago when I was setting up. He says he might be a little late to the meeting, so I don't know if he might just be swinging in here directly. We'll see.
Okay.
When he jumps back in and if he jumps back in, it's up to you, sir. We can wait to see or,
I will give him a minute or two here and see
That's in there. I'll
if he pops back in. Otherwise,
yeah.
we'll proceed. I mean, if he's on his way, I don't want him to miss anything.
Right. Yeah, he was just joining and leaving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
So I'll just stop sharing for a minute.
fine. Excuse me.
I put a new camera on today, so the camera quality is just a little bit better, at least for the folks who are attending online.
Oh, so it's gonna show me sleep.
It does look good.
Okay, just don't snore or drool.
It's a lot clearer.
A little bit, even though we didn't like change this out. Yeah, you're right. It is still a little bit clearer just from the quality of the camera.
This daylight savings time sucks when you're older.
Yeah, I know.
And this one hits a little different.
It does.
I wish it would stay on it year round.
I know.
Yeah.
I wish to. It's annoying.
It was nice looking out the window last night. It was like, huh, it's 7 o'clock and there's still a little bit of light. Okay, I can get into that.
Yeah, it's all about child safety now for the buses and stuff for
Mm.
schools.
Hmm.
Oh, I used to hate going to school in Maine, in elementary school. Go to school, it's pitch black outside. Get home from school in the middle of the afternoon, it's pitch black outside.
Well, it's not like Alaska.
True.
Oh, I've been there too.
Well, that's true.
Right, we-
4 miles from Canada, I mean,
Mm.
We're about,
over here, they
me too.
school in Limestone.
All right, we're gonna go ahead
You
and
must be in
proceed.
high school.
Think he's probably coming down.
Okay,
Brother-
that's fine.
Oldest brother.
Yeah.
If
went to
he's,
school in
if he,
London.
he'll be here soon.
Okay.
I'll
Let's-
fill him in.
We're gonna go ahead and dive in here to the fourth agenda item here, Urban Renewal District, and there's a presentation in the packet. And I will let PJ do his thing. Oh, and by the way, before we get started, I wanted to say you did a great job at the town hall, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
I wish that the public would have had more questions for counselors. I was hoping that you'd have that opportunity to engage. Did you all feel that you had a good opportunity to talk with people one-on-one
I did.
afterwards?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it would have been nice to see these boards filled.
We did get some
We
pretty
got some stuff.
We
good
got about
feedback.
3 or 4 good questions.
Yeah, you're right. So it wasn't nothing. I would have liked to see a little bit more, but
Yeah.
it was okay.
I think it was a great start. I am truly appreciative for what you did. That is the biggest turnout that I have ever seen. Not
Same
that I
here.
have seen all that many, but I was very impressed with the turnout. I was impressed with the representation that showed up. I thought you did an excellent presentation, and I heard that echoed from some of our community members. They
Great.
were very impressed with what you put forth. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Appreciate that.
I have one thing to say. My husband overheard a lady say something about, she had asked a question, and I think it was, I'm not certain, but I think it was the lady that asked the question, and you said it was a good question and asked her to write it on one of the
Yes.
boards.
Mhm. I think I
and
know who you're talking about.
Had a very negative comment to say as she was outside getting into her vehicle. She said to the person that was in the vehicle, she said,
That's nothing.
No,
I don't know who she is.
We do.
we
I
do.
mean, I remember what
do.
she looks like, but she said something to the effect of, well, I don't know why someone didn't write it up there. Why should I have to write it up there when nobody else wrote it up there for, one of the counselors or one of the mayor or you should have wrote the questions up on the board.
I mean,
We can do that next time. I mean, we'll
respect
take
that. I
under
think we
advisement.
counselors could be at each of the boards.
Yeah.
We could be writing them up as the questions come in.
That would be that's a
I'm
great
sorry,
idea.
I get too nervous. I cannot do it.
That's
Well,
okay.
It's fine.
The other thing that's super important
Plenty
with
of the
that
rest of us.
is for the public to recognize that it's not their input if we do it.
True.
And so if we want different grants and different things to happen, we have to have that community outreach and the public be the ones that do it. So if we can also phrase it that way and let them know that, as counselors, we can just say things and make decisions and write things down, yes. But it's much more impactful when it comes actually from the member of the community.
Mhm.
I agree.
And so I think that we need to kind of remind people a little bit of
Well,
that
and I-
it's good for us to,
And I thought it was pretty clear that we were gonna be doing that stuff after we were done
Mhm.
doing the whole Q&A thing.
But you
So-
don't say it's sticky. What's the matter? Whether you write it down or put it on a sticky.
We did during the rain project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There,
It's
it's
all
all
there.
recorded.
It's all
So-
recorded and pictures were taken.
So
of
that
it,
you know
so-
what we do with this, all that data, all that feedback that we got is sitting right now in an Excel spreadsheet
Mhm.
by topic and by date. And so every time we have an event, that very same Excel spreadsheet will get a new tab at the bottom
Mhm.
with new comments, new feedback, new information. All of that subjective, qualitative data is going to go into our grant proposals as we write them. And so you'll see tonight what the grand plan is. So it's not a useless exercise. And having different people writing up there looks really good
Mhm.
because it's different fonts, different text, different opinions. I will say I would have kept the marker out of a few folks' hands, given some of the comments we received. But that's okay.
Yeah.
You're not going to make everybody happy. And one thing I
Right.
tell a lot of folks is that
Exactly.
you'll never find consensus. It just doesn't exist in public the public, but we can find compromise.
Well, since the comments were anonymous, I think different handwriting would have lent more weight to the comments.
It did. I felt it did.
Yeah, you know, so there's that. So if it's all in one person's handwriting, how do they know who it came from or if it really came from somebody else?
Yep.
Yeah.
Or it even.
We
came
lose that
from
proof
day.
even though there are people here.
And there's photos of people walking around and doing stuff. In future events, we'll also have things like stickers that people can put with green, red, and yellow
Mhm.
for like, dislike, neutral.
Options.
So there's gonna be multiple ways of getting feedback from people.
Counselor Ray is trying to join again.
He is, okay.
I remember coming to a meeting one time here. It was a parks meeting. I
Mhm.
think it was
Yep.
on a Saturday and you had
Yep.
the,
That was Chris. That
Yep.
was our rare
That-
participant. Yeah.
I remember you being there because we were separated in different groups and I was in your group. And we wrote on those a bunch of different ideas and we prioritized and
Mhm. And all that we'll use when we
Yeah.
redo the Parks Master
Yep.
Plan. That's
Exactly.
that what it would end up getting used for that. Yes, yeah. Yeah.
we had,
I don't think it matters in that scenario. I was told previously that they were not valid, but I have
yeah.
recently been told that they are and we can use them. So,
He texts,
Yeah.
he
mhm,
messaged me on here, so I was gonna try to just call him.
so.
yeah, I think Brown Robin session.
Do you have him on the, like on text? Are you texting with him?
Texting.
Mhm.
I don't know what else to do.
I know, I feel terrible. He was on and then I just tried to invite him here.
I don't know. He said he tried to rejoin. I said, okay, I hope to see you soon. And then I said, TJ is trying to call you. But
Okay, so I might call him just one more time. We can get him on the phone and then maybe he can join
Right.
verbally.
Yeah, we could just have him on speakerphone and he can just
It is.
mute until, and when he wants to talk. he
Seems like
can.
he's having a computer issue because if he's not even showing up trying to join, there's something going on. Might be trying on his phone. I don't know.
Tim,
that is so true. That is so true.
so
Good.
I appreciate the feedback. However.
Yeah, there was some kind of nutrition plan or something.
Oh, don't start.
Just start a rumor.
Here he is.
Hey, there he is. All right.
Rumor. Oh,
No, no worries.
You're good.
Those icons don't come up for me.
Yeah, you were having a critical failure there.
I thought of Teams, it bring up a window, that automatically said, don't, no audio, no video, and I couldn't click out of it.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it looked like you were struggling on there based on what I could see on my side.
you were just on the wrong teams.
Okay.
You were on the losing team.
Sit in this chair tonight.
Oh,
I don't blame you.
Oh.
Do like me and a little bit stand up. Probably won't help, right?
Yeah.
I just got a shot in my office.
Oh.
Oh, boy.
My back, down my leg.
Oh, boy.
Did you say shock?
A shot from the
Yeah.
doctor. I
Okay,
sat at the
got it.
Doctors for 3 hours so they can give me that. And then I was like, I was trying to get home because it was aching so bad. I was like, man, this is killing.
I'm so sorry.
We were just,
Sure though.
okay, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. We were just talking about the town hall. So I don't know if there was anything else we wanted to mention before we jump into the presentation.
And Counselor Ray, thank you also for being at the town hall. That was good to see you there.
Okay, TJ, I'll let you take it away.
Okay. So the last Economic Development Committee meeting, the Economic Development Committee saw this presentation. And they made a recommendation to bring this to council. So this will be on the agenda for the council meeting in 2 weeks. And I'll talk about what's being proposed and what council is asked to consider. So this is a little bit about urban renewal districts. We touched on this briefly once before, so this will look slightly familiar to you. We broached this topic previously. So again, a little bit of a history about urban renewal. Started in 1949 under the Federal Housing Act. It was intended to provide funding for affordable housing. and the infrastructure to go along with those housing projects. And it was targeted towards underperforming areas, areas where you couldn't get a developer to go invest. And it started out being funded exclusively by federal loans that came to cities. And those loans could be used to acquire and clear up those properties in what we would consider back then slums. That's the term that they used. There is a big unintended consequence of this, and urban renewal, the term itself, urban renewal, still carries this tone, this echo, and that is it really displaced minorities, the poor people, and vulnerable communities. So you got big, beautiful new houses and developments that rich people moved into, and it pushed those people out to somewhere else that was undesirable. And that's something that's happened since the 1950s. And you've probably heard the term gentrification. That is, gentrification came out of urban renewal. It was an unintended consequence. And we'll talk a little bit about how we address that today. So a little bit more about why urban renewal started really ramping up in use. It was around the 1980s and 1990s. Back in the 80s, Congress had looked at all of these different types of properties around the country. Some of them were agricultural, some of them dry cleaning, some of them like the mill, that's on Depot Street there on 99, or the Brickyard. Could have been metal shops, lots of different sort of neighborhood scale uses that are no longer in use. And they left behind real or perceived problems. And even if there's like no contamination left behind from a auto shop, for example, a developer doesn't want to go buy that property because they're afraid, there might be something going on there. It's cheaper to just go build somewhere else. And by the 1990s, the Conference of Mayors, and this is held every year, Conference of Mayors said this is such a big problem that it's an economic development issue. There's somewhere between 130,000 and 1 million of these sites around the country. This was a map that I put together back in 2021. So this number keeps growing, but those are all the neighborhood scale properties that are pulled right from EPA's database. And it tells us where there could be potential problems. And we have some of these in our community. It's not the only thing urban renewal addresses. Urban renewal also addresses things like just deteriorating roads. But we've got some of this stuff in our community too. So I wanted to talk to you about the blight problem. So in Oregon, annual growth rate for taxable property is limited to 3% of the assessed value increase per year. So the state can't increase your property value, assessed value, more than 3% per year. What happens is that 3% is really intended. You can see this 3% increase right here. That gray line, that's what that is. This orange line is the property value itself. Now, all of you own homes. Most of you, well, I think most everybody owns homes. What happens to your home value? Hopefully, over time. If your home value is this orange line, are you happy? No, you are not.
You would like it to go up.
We have a lot of vacant, underutilized, abandoned properties in cities where there's blight because the property value stays pretty neutral over time because of that blight. And so this is your revenue. Instead of seeing an orange line going like this, and then the 3% carrying above that, blight creates this problem where tax revenue either stays flat or decreases over time. And we see that in this community. I can track that over the last 10 to 20 years in terms of how much revenue we bring in for the city. So a little bit about urban renewal in Oregon. So when an urban renewal agency district forms, it can request to use a tool. And this is a very known term around the country called TIF, or tax increment financing. What that really means is property tax revenue is diverted away from all of the taxing districts, like the library, for example, or the fire department and the city itself, and directed towards this urban renewal agency. It's a separate entity. We'll talk about that in a minute. And the Urban Renewal Agency gets to use some of that money to invest in projects that are going to improve the city. Here's a little bit more about that. Those public improvements, it's really intended to make public improvements that make possible new private development that wouldn't have occurred if it weren't for us making an investment first. Think about a piece of property where it would be wonderful to have maybe like a duplex or a fourplex, but there's no sidewalk in front of that road, in front of that driveway. Or if there was a sidewalk, it is just beat to all heck and nobody can really walk on it. Same thing with the road, right? The road is really beaten up and not doing very well. So when a developer looks at a property like that, they go, I don't know. I'm going to have to do all of those improvements. You all heard about the PNDI subdivision, right? When you come in and do a subdivision, you have to do all those improvements. Well, the developers think there are communities out there that have already got streets and sidewalks ready to go. I'm going to go look for them, save myself some money. And so at the end of the day, we kind of end up being the last to develop. And as long as there's better property to develop out there, developers don't look at communities that have blight as much. So what we do is at the current rate, we'll freeze what the tax base is right now. There's something called an increment. We'll talk about that in a second. And then a shared portion. That's the part that we get to hold on to and use. So here's a bit more of a complex slide that, Tim, I'll give you a copy since you're hanging out with us. The council must decide whether or not it wants, well, we'll get to the end. I won't give you the end now. We'll go through this process first. So remember that orange line we saw earlier? That's the frozen base. They keep it right there. And remember, if there were no investment, it would stay like that over time. This x-axis is still years in time. What happens is that we then freeze that tax base and establish a TIF district, a tax increment financing district. And then what that district does is it identifies a number of projects that the city would like to see completed. A new street over here, a new sidewalk over here, a new water line and street and sidewalk in this area. And they attach dollar signs to all of those projects that they'd like to see happen throughout the city. And all of those combined total projects have a total value. They call the total indebtedness. That's how much you're allowed to go out and find grants and loans and other types of funding to support those projects. So the Urban Renewal Agency can actually take on loans to fund public improvement projects. Those projects, like a sidewalk or a street, are then there for a developer to come in and say, now I don't need to spend that money. Now I can come in and actually build housing or something else, make it more affordable for the people that are going to live there because I didn't have to pay for it and it's not going to be included in their costs. I won't pass it on to them. And what happens is you start to see property value increase because of that development. So we start putting in sidewalks and roads and developers start coming in. And those property values increase. And that's our revenue that comes from the property taxes. This amount down here is the same amount that continues to go out to all the taxing districts. So the city of Monroe, the fire department of the fire district, the library, the community college, the county, all of those taxing districts out there, they have to agree to this too. And this is a very common tool. So one of the things that we would do is reach out to them and get their buy-in for this. And they get it because for them, they're going to get the same value from now till 20 years from now without doing anything. They're getting the same split of the property taxes that we are. And there's no investment, so there's no increase. Yes, they have to freeze and we have to freeze what we normally would receive as the city and as the fire department and as the library. All of this chunk right here, what we call the increment, that goes into the account of the Urban Renewal District. And that money gets to then get used for more projects. That's the intent of it. Now, what happens is after a certain period of time, we start to share some of that revenue again with some of the other taxing districts, like the library and the fire district and the county. You're only allowed to take on the amount of money that you identified in the very beginning, which is all of the projects combined as a total indebtedness. And then at the end of that, once you're done with all those projects, you funded all of them, the TIF district expires. It sunsets and it goes away. And all of the revenue that went to the property or went to the taxing districts previously go out to those taxing districts with the same distribution and percentages that we saw before the district was formed, just at a much higher rate. So instead of being down here, revenue is now up here over the course of those 20 years. Typically, it's about 20 years. Some districts move very fast, get projects done in a decade. Some districts get projects done in 30 or 40 years, depending on how big the city is, how many projects there are, that kind of stuff. So that needs to get sussed out. How does that happen? So the steps to creating an urban renewal district or an urban renewal agency is 3 pieces. There's a technical advisory committee that does a deep dive and decides whether this is a good idea. Step 1, that's actually state required. You can't just go, all right, we're doing it. You have to have this technical advisory committee. Once the technical advisory committee makes a recommendation to the council, and if the council decides we're going to move forward, the council drafts an ordinance. And the ordinance establishes an urban renewal plan, which is all of the projects. And now I'm going to go into these steps in a bit more detail now. So the Technical Advisory Committee, its purpose is to consider the need for and the feasibility of creating an URA. And Councilor Williams, did you have a question? Are you sure? No, you're fine. I want to make sure if there's something. Okay.
I'm good.
Huh?
We're good.
Okay. So the Technical Advisory Committee would consider whether there's a need and if it's feasible for this specific city to form an urban renewal agency. It would look at what areas or area in the city. It could be the whole city for a size like Monroe. A lot of cities like Tillamook, for example, it's almost the whole city. And then they identify potential projects like I was talking about a few minutes ago. And this is usually in concert with the Planning Commission as they're looking at things like capital improvement plan alongside the city council. And what you want to do is get input from stakeholders. So it's not you all who are making up this committee. Maybe 1 or 2 of you would be on this committee. This is primarily folks from the business community, residents, and other folks who have knowledge and experience in this sort of thing. We want to think about engineers. We want to think about people with budgeting experience and accounting experience, land use experience. Then there's the ordinance. Let's say that you think this is a great idea. Technical Advisory Committee came back with a recommendation to form the district. You then have an option as city council. If you so choose to create the urban renewal district, there are 2 flavors. One is that the city council itself acts as the urban renewal district board. It is a separate entity with its own separate budget that is completely separated from our audited reports and the city itself. It is entirely a separate entity. That is what's so nice about this, because the city is not taking on loans. The city is not bringing in that funding directly from the developers. It's the district itself. It is a very powerful tool and very useful because then it doesn't weigh our budget in a way that makes it challenging for us to operate as a city, especially small cities. The second option is for the council to appoint members of the board. So you may choose to bring some folks from that technical advisory committee or appoint other individuals, just like you do any of our other boards or commissions, like Planning Commission, for example. Yes, ma'am.
And everybody on the advisory and on this would all be living within the city limits.
No, they don't have to. City council can determine who they'd like to sit on this, and much like planning commission or our other committees, they can reside outside of city limits. That's a great question.
Okay.
Which makes it more possible to bring the kind of people that we're interested in. You know, if that person is just perfect for that committee, but they're right outside city limits, you're not bound by that.
Well, business owners that live outside the city
Mhm.
would be
Correct.
very interested, I think.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's who we want on this kind of advisory committee, and the board should it form, is folks like that. So a little bit, you're probably already thinking about this right now, but if the city council acts as the board, you have a bit more control and direction over how the urban renewal agency is forming and moving ahead. A lot of city councils will kind of just do urban renewal agency and then pivot over to their city council meeting in the same night. And you don't have to meet monthly. You can also meet quarterly. There's a lot of options there. And other cities do like to have a group of people represent, but just be aware that you can have people fall off, and sometimes they don't always know what the city council would like to see in terms of direction for the city. So there's a need to have good communication with that urban renewal district board if you form it as a separate entity outside of the council running it. So you have two options, be aware of that. And the technical advisory committee would look at those two options and make a recommendation, not only on whether you should form, but if you should form, they'll make a recommendation on which format this should be, city council or committee.
Can we just go back for a moment?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think I'm confused. I think I was confused the last time as well. So we have the technical advisory committee who's then going to be coming up with the game plan, prioritizing projects. And then we have a board.
So thank you. Got it. The technical advisory committee is an ad hoc temporary.
Temporary. Okay. So that's to set it up. Okay.
Yes, its purpose is it disbands
Okay.
once its recommendation is submitted to council.
Got it. That's helpful.
And the recommendation is form or not.
Okay.
And if you do form, what projects and whether it should be council led or community led.
Understood.
I
Thank
have a
you.
quick question. Do the projects, they put a budget on it, right?
Yes.
Is that budget, have any kind of growth due to inflation and anything like that?
Yes, inflation does get
So it's
included.
not a set value.
No, that's a great question, because if you say I've got $10 million worth of projects today, but the district lives for 30 years, I'd love it if that 10 million was still the number at the end of
Right.
those 10 years, right?
It would also have to take into account population growth.
We're actually spurring in a little bit population growth, because what have we had in terms of growth over the last several decades? Not a lot, right? But if some developer seeks an opportunity to come build housing, well, we could see an increase like we did see with Red Hills.
Right.
But what we're doing is we are taking into account population growth. Absolutely. And this goes hand in hand with our urban growth boundary expansion. So we have that grant and that project, which is kind of a separate piece going on right now. This feeds right into that.
Okay.
So it does take it into account. It does think about it. We're thinking right now about how we keep our infrastructure that we have at the condition that it's currently at and better, while also thinking 20 years ahead. We're trying to do those two things at the same time.
You're saying we want to do a lot of this stuff to make it cheaper for builders to come here to build, like housing and whatnot. Don't we also want builders, when they build housing, to do something to help the city?
Yep.
System development charts.
I know when,
They're SDCs related, right?
Yes. Remember, and Tim, you know this, when we were going over the PNDI project, we make them put in sidewalks, streets.
but if we do this and we already improve streets and sidewalks and street lights, whatever, and they come in and go, oh, well, I don't have to do anything to the street or sidewalk. I don't have to put in street lights. I can just build. Okay, well, we want something back in return.
Absolutely right.
So
SDC.
I'm just going by like Red Hills put in that sidewalk down Orchards, not the greatest. It's just a black top sidewalk, an asphalt sidewalk, but it's something. And they put in this sidewalks and street lights and did the roads.
Mhm.
When I grew up and we bought a new house, watched it get built, the builder not only did the streets, the sidewalks, the street lights, they also gave money to the elementary school, the junior high, the high school, but the school district, because of the influx of all the additional kids
Mhm.
that would be going to the schools and the school buses that would get utilized. And they gave money to the parks and recreation because the parks would get more kids using them. Various things. I mean,
We still
builders
require
just
that.
did it without any
That's all part of our
qualms.
system development charge.
So there's a couple things. Our system development charges is for water, wastewater, and stormwater.
Right?
And then there are also costs that the developer has to put forward for sidewalks and road improvements. And so oftentimes we can take that money and pair it with this urban renewal money. And you're right, it reduces the cost for the developer. That's literally the point. Because if the developer has an option to build here, and for the same money per door, build at another community, but the only difference between them is we have the street and the sidewalk paid for, they're going to come here. Now, your question, I think what you were getting at a few minutes ago was, well, what are we getting out of that free infrastructure that essentially the developer can take right off of their pro forma,
Right.
right? Where does that go? That actually comes into the gentrification piece. I'm going to get at that in just a moment.
Okay.
I can give you an example over on 7th Street. The city council at the time only made the developer was bringing like 20 homes in, I think. They only made them build half a street with the sidewalk on their side.
Is this in Corvallis?
No,
Oh,
It's right
here.
down here. It was here.
and the thought was by the city council at the time, I wasn't sitting on it, I was in the audience. Was that, then they could sell it easier because the next developer would only have to put in half a street. Still setting half a street.
Right.
Should just had them do the whole street.
Yeah.
There was more to it than that.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
simplified argument of it, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Well, they didn't have to do the curb gutter sidewalk, because they only did 2 homes on different lots around their whole area.
No, I mean,
Told.
the ones that were all those manufactured homes were brought in, they had to do the whole side there.
Cindy didn't even come before planning commission on that. I put it up there,
I know they did.
and
That was, this is kind of rumor, but it was, dictated by the mayor,
And it wasn't me.
and it wasn't in. And it was like 3 or 4 city administrators.
Yeah.
There was no city administrator.
Well, yeah, I know.
I think I know who you're talking about, but anyway.
The mayor and the county
Yeah,
and a
so I mean, we're still living with a lot of
We are.
stuff.
And what we want to do, this tool will help us fix a lot of that stuff. There's no other way to really do it.
Well, we've talked about TIFs before, 2 city administrators before. And I think
Yeah.
we're getting to the point where we're able to overcome some of these objections from some of the, I'll just call them longtime residents that have been argumentative.
Fair enough. A lot of folks are concerned about this particular issue right here is that, wait a minute, if you spur development in this community, you're going to create an increase in property values. And when that happens, especially if I'm renting, then my landlord can increase the rent higher and justify that.
Or your taxes.
My taxes go up, right? So that's something that we take into account.
Mhm.
So one of the things we have to do is we have to tell the state when we form the urban renewal district, how we're going to mitigate displacement, how we're going to keep that from happening. A lot of cities will say, okay, we will do this for you as a developer, but your development must stay at moderate income, 120% area median income or below. So 120% area median income is $100,000 a year, roughly for the household. That's the top end of the middle income. And then down to 30% AMI, area median income. 30 is what we see as affordable housing. We're not talking about affordable housing, although it's something that it would be nice to have in our community. What we're talking about is folks who work at the grocery store or have two incomes and they make up to 100,000 a year. And they keep costs low for them. So rather than the developer having to pay for the sidewalk in the street and pass that cost along, we're saying, no, 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 we're giving you those things for free. And we expect the development over the long term to be affordable for people below a certain income threshold.
So we actually have somewhat limitations on the prices they can charge?
Yes. And so that what we do is we provide this development, these upgrades, and then the developer gets that benefit directly.
Yeah, some of the past councils, one of the biggest arguments against anything we were trying to do to improve was fixed income. We have a high percentage of fixed income
Yeah.
Yeah,
at that time.
exactly right.
Yeah.
If you had, for example, let's take the PNDI project. They did their first 8 and now they came back and they did the other 26. And they didn't do sidewalks the first round. They said,
They were gonna do it in the second round.
and then we're forcing them to do it on the second round. And they are doing it on the second round, but
Yes,
those
they
are
are.
costs that are going to get included in their total.
But they're not doing it because the water system won't, I mean, are we allowing them to build right now?
So the water system will allow them. So once OHA gives them approval, they're good to go. They have to get, anything over 3 units has to go through
We haven't done
OHA.
the moratorium yet.
So there's no moratorium yet.
We haven't done the moratorium yet.
There's no moratorium yet because we're still waiting for the findings, all of this funding that we just nailed
Yeah,
down.
I understand that, but I mean, we can't bring on 26 additional homes at this point. I mean, we all know that.
No, we're okay to do that. OHA believes we're okay to do that. And their final statement, I have the form that's getting submitted to them this week. They'll look over that with their engineers, look at our system capacity and make a determination. If they say that the system can handle it, then the builder can move forward.
The existing system?
Yeah.
6-inch pipe?
Yeah,
That's the wastewater,
yeah.
Right.
but also the water, which is what I think you're talking about.
I mean, this
Both.
water.
Both.
They have to get a,
Both of them,
they have to get approval from both. OHA for the water, DEQ for the wastewater.
Mhm.
Yeah, because isn't the wastewater the worst issue?
yeah.
But let me focus on though, I'm thinking in the past, those 8 units that he built before.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
We could have used, if we had an urban renewal district,
Mhm.
we could have used urban renewal funding to get those sidewalks installed then.
Mhm. Right.
And there could very well have been a development agreement with that developer to then talk about what the cost of those homes are actually going to be. Because I would love to move into Red Hills. My wife and I, we went and looked at that one house for sale. I can't afford a $600,000 home. And the developer had to build all of that infrastructure.
No way I would pay $600,000 for one of those homes. I mean.
But what I'm saying is that
Uh,
what we're enabling is homes that people can afford as a
Right.
result.
The home value there has skyrocketed.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Those 8 homes up there, I believe every one of them have remonstrance against them.
That's so, just so that they can come back later and do the work. That's all that is.
I know, but who's paying for that?
The waiver of remonstrance isn't a loss of money. There's no exchange of funding there. What they're saying is, listen, we're going to defer the sidewalk and defer the streets and defer the driveways until we do phase 2, but then we'll go back and do all of
Yeah,
it.
and Serge is aware of that. That's what his intentions are.
He has like 30 something requirements. You know this. I
I
took him to task on those conditions.
Those remonstrances, I was under the notion that $20,000, $30,000 for road improvements, curb gutter sidewalk.
All of that he has to do.
Oh,
He's doing.
And are we standardizing on the style of curb? Because didn't we put a,
Yeah, we don't have the greenway in there anymore.
That's outside of my knowledge. I don't know.
we also had a curb where it was rounded.
We
A
have,
square curb.
yeah, we have several different options because when we put that together as a community, we argued that we needed a few different options because if you put in what Corvallis or anybody else wants,
Mhm.
you're going to be into everybody's first bedroom on some of the streets in the city.
Right.
So we have latitude in that to use different structures, like you said, that we can do the softened curb. We don't have to have the greenway. We don't have to, so there's a lot of latitude in what was put together for our city to be able to use to
Right.
make it easier for people to
Yeah, I
develop.
thought the softened curb was the one that we looked at because it was less maintenance with vehicle
Yeah.
issues.
It could be, yeah,
Yeah.
The road goes from
right.
door to door.
Right.
Right.
And that's,
All in there.
yeah, and that's why we did all those options, is so that we can look at that, make.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're-
No, you're
informed
just
decisions.
fine. One of the nice things about an urban renewal district is that you can kind of develop out some of those standards you'd like to see. Especially since you're thinking about those specific types of projects, and then communicate that to the engineer of record so that when the developer goes to the engineer to get approvals, the engineer knows exactly what the city wants to see. That's a really good way of doing that.
You know, I'm a big proponent in not reinventing the wheel and looking at cities that have plans that exist to kind of see the input that they've been given and the direction that they're moving in. So, I mean, I'm really concerned about the renters here that live in our community. You know, even at moderate house prices, it's going to raise everything up, and we have the potential to displace a lot of people.
Well, that's what we want to address. We must address.
Well, that's why I need to see how other cities have addressed it. That's
Yeah.
important to me before I can even continue to move forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think there are some federal programs for assistance, and we have reached out to try to get the citizens to get involved in those things. And this was in my last council term, so it's been quite a few years.
Yeah, there are some things we can do for
But,
citizens.
Yeah,
Mhm.
nobody wanted to do it. They didn't want to be on the list, so to speak.
Well, then, that is kind of a separate tool. I know what you're talking about. Weatherization and improvements on homes. I get that. That is a great, that is a
Rent.
assistance. Yep, absolutely. We must tell the state how we are going to prevent that exact thing from happening. So way that happens is through the technical advisory committee. The committee must identify what the gentrification mitigation, the displacement mitigation plan would be. Whether that is requiring that those developers who get a benefit are keeping those prices at moderate income. That's one option.
We'll define moderate.
So 120% area median income.
Okay.
So roughly something under $18 to $2,000 a month if it were a rental or a mortgage. That is the top. If you go down to the bottom, which is 30% area median income, think somebody making minimum wage living by themselves.
Okay.
That is somewhere around $800 to $900 a month. We want to see them provide a number of units in a range from the bottom to that top of the middle. So everywhere from the 900 a month to 2,000 a month.
Okay.
And there's agreements with those developers. If they're going to get this public benefit, then they need to demonstrate how they're going to provide to our citizens a similar benefit. So that's the intent of this. But you're right. We want to go out and look at what other cities have done. And the technical advisory committee, that's one of its very first steps, is to go out there and find out who has
Who's done
botched,
it right?
who's botched this.
Right, and who's done it right?
And who's
We
done
want
it
both.
right. Exactly. And then come back with recommendations for what works for this city.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Counselor.
No, it's okay. Just, it's occurring to me, and I might be off base, but, in the past, we've got grants for streets and such, and we've had to turn them back because we didn't have matching
Block
funds.
grants, yeah.
So my question is, when we have this little kitty of money, is that appropriate to use as matching funds for a grant such as that so that we can make it stretch further?
Yes,
Okay.
it is one of the best ways to meet that match, because if you've identified a project in your urban renewal district and you want to do this big water project or road project, and then you go and you get a grant for that, you're right, you need the 25% match. Now your project isn't 100% of the cost, it's 25% of the cost. And what you're able to do is provide a benefit to the community and to the developer at the end of the day. They don't care where the money comes from, but yeah.
Go ahead.
Is there any way that I don't know if it's loud or legal. Can the city put like a cap on rental amount?
Yes.
State already has one done.
So this is exactly what we're talking about. If you get a public benefit, you must have some sort of restriction, and it gets usually recorded with the deed. And developers are more than happy to do this because they're able to sell a product and get the same revenue at the end of the day. They're just passing the savings along, which is,
Okay, but a developer develops it. Somebody else will come in and buy the building. Well, then that building may just turn around and get sold like a year. or
you're
two
absolutely right.
And then it could get sold again and again.
Mhm.
Now, who's gonna protect the renters? through
If
the
it's a
years?
rental, then the people who, if it continuously gets rented, the rental must remain at those limits. And the technical advisory committee will get into the details of this and how it works. There are different forms of agreements and requirements that the developer must come in and agree to. Different flavors, it does get slightly detailed. And again, the advisory committee will look at this.
I'm hearing, maybe I'm just not understanding, but I'm hearing the developer agrees to it, but they sell it, the building.
If it's rental, and like I said, it's challenging right now to expand out an answer that would satisfy the question. But what I can tell you is that if it's a rental, there are requirements for the owner, whoever owns it, for a certain period of time to keep it under a certain rent. Doesn't matter if it gets transferred. And if it's going to be strictly ownership, like the person who buys it lives in it, that changes things just a little bit. Because then if they go and sell it, they can sell it for market rate.
Right, like a condo, you own your own condo.
But it doesn't make sense to sell in I mean, you all know this too, right? It doesn't make sense to sell within the first 5 years because all of your transaction costs get eaten up and you don't make any money. So,
Well, I'm just saying hypothetically,
yes,
what's to keep
A speculator.
there are tools.
to go with owner to owner?
That's what this is. So the technical advisory committee will go through many meetings and lots of details on the rules and how that happens. And they'll come back with a document that spells out exactly what they're recommending.
Okay.
So the displacement mitigation has to be part of the plan. So the 3 steps are you form the technical advisory committee and they determine if this even makes sense. They come back with a report to council. If it does make sense, they tell you how to form it, what area, how many projects, how much money, and how we're going to prevent displacement. So all those things we're just talking about right now. If it moves forward, it goes into an ordinance and the council gets to decide whether it's council-led or community-led. And then there's the urban renewal plan.
Can council add things to it?
Yes, so projects can increase indebtedness over time, but the council itself cannot unless it is the board. The urban renewal district is its own separate legal entity. It is liability control. So the council, if something goes wrong in the district or they take on more debt than they should have, the council is fully separated and protected from it. So that's the real benefit.
What I'm saying is the technical advisory committee, they come up with it and decide projects and stuff. What if the board or the council or whatever decides, there's another project that we probably should really put into it?
You can't switch them out. You can
Okay.
add projects.
So that's what I mean. Can we add? to it?
Yes, absolutely. That increases the indebtedness and it becomes a vote. So there's some details in there. You're asking
Okay, I'm just
you're asking
wondering,
those,
is it written in stone from the technical advisory committee, or is it still?
you're getting into those really granular questions.
Okay,
Those are the questions that the technical advisory committee answers.
okay.
What I'm asking and recommending that council do at our next council meeting is consider a proposal to form the technical advisory committee. That's really the next step. And then you go into the process of identifying who you'd want to sit on that committee.
Would we want to argue what type of subject matter experts we want to see on that?
Sure, absolutely. Remember, all of this, though, is going to be going right in line with a comprehensive plan coming at the end of the year
End of the year,
and our capital improvement plan.
which is next.
All of these things are kind of singing together in concert. This is another way to make sure that we have enough funding to do all the things we want to do because we're a small city. We're not on the coast, right? We have a small revenue coming in to our community. So we need something else to support us.
And so because we are a small community, and even if we, change the UGB and do all of this, and I'm aware of some of the projects that are in the, at least talking about planning phases, right? we're never gonna be a sleepy bedroom community. That's not our makeup. So, I mean, yes, we're doing this to entice and attract builders and developers, but it's gonna be a very niche, niche group of people that want to come and build here.
You're right. You're right. Over the first several years, you're going to see small developments.
Mhm.
If we expand our urban growth boundary and start to add infrastructure, 10, 15, 20 years from now, you're going to start to see the results of that. That's when we'll really start to become a larger community. I think Monroe actually could be a pretty large community. We have a lot of developable land. A lot of other cities don't have very much of that left. Our biggest issue,
Where is this developable land? I mean, maybe I'm just,
we're very underutilized in our city. There's a lot of tracks that haven't even been platted yet.
really?
Oh, yeah. And I'll show you you got a map on you too. I'll show you guys some of this in a few minutes too. I've talked about it a little bit already.
It's plotted all the way up to the cemetery.
District, are you talking?
So my recommendation is that you include the entire current city limits. Other cities that are bigger will take just a section, but we're a half a mile
Right.
end to end.
Can we include areas outside of the city limits at this time?
Nope.
No.
You cannot.
Ever in scope? Could that ever be in scope?
So we expand the urban growth boundary, right? Let's say we then also expand the city limits and annex those properties. Anything inside the city limits absolutely can then be included into the urban renewal district as a motion by the
Mhm.
district.
So it has to be inside city limits by virtue of the name urban.
Yep, it's got to be inside the district itself. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
And so when that happens, does that change our numbers
Yeah.
What numbers?
of
Budget and
the
stuff.
budget and all that? Because we'll be adding more to it.
If we have this started before we get the urban growth boundary and the city limits moved.
What? No, I'm not understanding your question. I'm sorry.
The
Funding?
funding that we're going to be, our little nest egg that we're hoping to have,
Thanks, yeah.
will that then change if that happens after?
If we
or
go into
does
the
it just
district?
Stay,
So if we go into an urban renewal district, nothing significant is going to change. No.
Okay.
We continue to get all the revenue we've always received.
okay.
If we start to see development in the city
Mhm.
and that development creates property value increases, anything above what we used to get goes to the district. So yes, the city will continue to receive what it's always received.
So I'm not being very clear in what I am asking. Does it behoove us to try to enlarge our area, urban renewal, or
Oh.
I mean, our
Urban growth boundary.
urban growth boundary and try to annex before doing this?
No, thank you. So this is designed to fix and keep up to date what we have right now.
Okay.
This is designed to make sure that we don't deteriorate in terms of the quality of water, sewer, and streets and sidewalks that we currently have for our existing residents.
Okay.
When we go to expand our urban growth boundary, we're then thinking about 20 or 30 years out. And the developers that'll come put,
This will
That we already
be gone.
so we're thinking about the right now at the same time that we're thinking about the future and making sure that we fund it from day one all the way out to year 30.
Okay.
That is really the intent. We're doing both things at the same time. One funding tool is for this and another tool is for the expansion later on. Yeah, thank you. Good question. And I totally missed what you were saying at first. My apologies.
It's not being very clear. I'm very tired. I apologize.
I feel that.
Yeah, go ahead.
By the time we expand in 20, 30 years, the roads that we do now are going to need to be redone.
So that's actually part of what the technical advisory committee looks at. Over the next 30 years, what's going to need to get done? And that gets included in the projects. And then what we do is we say, hey, listen, you've got a map in front of you. The southern part of the city has no water. If we're going to go ahead and we have SDC funds to put a water underneath the street that's getting paid for by the district, we can combine those two funds together and get a complete street with the infrastructure and everything together. So there's a lot of different ways to leverage this. So let me talk a little bit about, I mean, I guess that really is the questions piece, but if you look at the last piece of paper I shared with you, that's your map right here. Here, Tim.
You know that. for
I know,
sure.
yeah, I had to come up here and tap into this and go all the way like that.
Yep.
What you're seeing is no water and no sewer in a significant proportion of the city. And Councilor Williams, you can see yours right there too, on the map, that last page.
Big map.
Let me get it. Let me get it.
I have a
Think it's big
question
enough.
about it.
Did I get it? Big one? I may have-
Yeah, you have it on you. I gave it to you today. Oh, you're okay. I'm sorry. You should have it there in front of you. Here
It's on page. Yes, I do.
Okay,
I got
cool.
it. I got it.
we go.
Sorry.
You're fine.
All good.
So you can just see that there's a lot of areas where there's no pipes.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
In Red Hills, that's showing that that little portion of Ninth, all of 10th, and Shelby don't have water and sewer. How am I getting water and sewer?
Yeah.
So
I
You
can get it,
guys,
it's not
this-
above ground.
I know, you guys, this is part of the challenge that we have as a city. When we built Red Hills, we unfortunately didn't go through the proper process of communicating with the state. We still need to go back and do that. And that's going to be a conversation that happens after we fix the water treatment plant, because it's not going to be the best conversation in the world. And we are going to have some answers to give. Hopefully not dollars, but we will come back to that later. There may be enforcement actions as a result, but we did not go through the proper process of getting all of that permitted like we should. So we will go back and do that. And then when that happens, you'll see those lines appear on our system plan. So when Steve was doing all that work, we just did it.
It's all-
I'm like, it has to be there.
So we'll come back to that, but this map will be getting some updates over time.
Okay.
But my point I'm trying to
Yeah,
draw
I'm
you
confused
to
as
is
to-
that there are areas of the city where we don't have water and sewer. We've been collecting system development charges over the years, and we've got big bank accounts actually to go fund water and sewer projects. What good is that if there's no road? Right? Nobody's gonna build a house on a piece on dirt. And no developer is gonna come in and say, yeah, that's great, but I can't afford the road either. So if we use our SDC fees to extend that infrastructure, and we have the urban renewal district saying, hey, we want to fund a road there and a sidewalk too, you now have a complete section of the city where you now can see real development. So that's some of what we're talking about there and what I wanted to draw your attention to.
City sewer,
Yeah.
and so do all my neighbors, and they
And you-
also have city water.
Do
So
you have a big tank at your property?
I have to pump up to the sewer system at my property. Yes, you have to have
You have
a
to
grinder
run-
pump and pump it
You
just
have a
like the park.
grinder,
Mm.
and it goes into a pipe that goes-
Yep. Yep.
It's not a 6-inch or whatever
Nope.
sewer pipe.
Right.
And that's what you're dealing with territorial.
Yep, everybody's got,
Those needs to be upgraded.
exactly, everybody's got macerators pushing uphill, exactly right. And we have folks in town that aren't on city water.
Mhm.
Several. We have folks in town that aren't on city sewer and still have septic tanks. So there's a lot that needs to be upgraded and updated over time. That's part of what this will do. We don't really have the funding or the ability to put all of that in place, but an urban renewal district would help us iron that out. So what I'm saying here tonight is that my recommendation at council meeting would be that we consider forming the technical advisory committee. We're not deciding whether to build it. We're not needing all of the answers answered, all the questions answered right now, but you will, if you form it, be asking the technical advisory committee to give you very specific answers on the questions that you have. So the first step is to form it and see if it makes sense.
How big is that?
There's the district can be as big as the city in terms of size. City limits.
Salem.
Just
How do you think you could bring people in from outside?
yeah.
If you annex them. So if you,
People on the committee about being
in the
city in the
So
city.
that's what I just asked.
oh, I see what you mean. You mean the human sitting on the board? Got it. So the people sitting on the board can be from anywhere.
Okay.
No. You don't want it from Eugene and Portland.
Correct. The city council would behoove themselves to appoint people that they know are subject matter experts, connected to the community in some way, and they see them as a.
Planning commission.
As a
That'd
good
be my
fit.
guess.
Like go down.
No, Alpine, yeah.
Mhm.
All
yeah.
the way to the county line.
Yeah, and no, the people aren't gonna be knocking on your door. You know, you're gonna be recruiting.
Yeah.
That's a council decision. My suggestion is fewer, like 5 is kind of a nice sweet spot.
Yeah.
You decide. You decide as a council. And what's nice is that this technical advisory committee would hopefully be delivering their report around the same time that the parks master plan is coming out, roughly around August or September. And all of these things can come together at the same time. Okay, so we've covered a number of questions. Are there any other questions now? Again, what I'm recommending council does is simply form the committee to then go decide whether it makes sense. Simple as that.
Okay.
I don't know, can I just say I'd like to make a recommendation that we inform city council that that would be
Yeah,
an appropriate direction to.
yeah, and you all would consider that at your next, because you can't tonight, of course, because it's a work session, but yeah, as you all at your next meeting, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And I'll put it on, what I'm saying is then basically, I'd like to put it on the agenda. Do I have enough support to do that for this next meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's really where we wanted to go with this work session.
Okay. I'm gonna mercifully move us forward.
Sorry.
Okay, we're gonna talk about capital projects, strategic plan. That is the other presentation in our packet. And it's gonna look familiar.
A little bit. No, this is very different, actually. The first couple slides will look somewhat familiar because it was what we did
Yeah.
last week. But this is all brand new for you. And
Yep.
it's what I promised to give you as your next chunk to bite off.
Yeah.
So we're getting into some dense stuff, you guys, some really detailed, expensive, complicated stuff. And I'm doing my best to try to bring it forward in the right order and in the right size per conversation. I'll give a couple of seconds here. What you'll see is that I have all of the slides there for you. So please feel free to, take notes, or if there's anything that you'd like to bring up in the future, in a future meeting, this is a good tool to have. So that's why I printed it out. Normally I don't do that. So, and as you were saying, Mayor Sheets, some of this will look familiar in the beginning, if you were at the town hall especially. So again, what we're looking to do is kind of make sure that all of our projects that are linking to each other are thought about in concert with one another. It's very integrated, the infrastructure, water, sewer, streets, transportation, all of this stuff is really one discussion. Our systems, like water and wastewater, they converge along the Long Tom River corridor, which makes the dam removal project so exciting to be able to support our other projects. We have 5 capital areas, and really we're trying to wrap this into one risk framework. So think about all of the projects together as a one risk profile. And what we're trying to do is find alignment between them. So that first one we were talking about just the other day, we have the $1.5 million. That's going to reduce the TTHMs, improve our computer system, and get us ready for future growth so that we can have more water consumption. That capital area 2, again, this is just refresher, is the 1135 dam removal and how that connects to the intake, the water intake. And of course, that's happening in summer 2027. The intake must be relocated. We're having quarterly meetings with the Corps, and we have a construction window and some sequencing between these projects that we're trying to nail down. Capital area 3 was the wastewater. That was where we were talking about, we have the 1 6-inch line under the river. There's no redundancy, no second line. Those lagoons go out into the floodplain. And we're really looking to create a secondary line before the first line breaks. The 4th capital area, this is that map again you have in front of you. This is where we're talking about urban growth boundary planning. So while we're thinking about current infrastructure, we're also talking about maybe expanding these boundaries out. And we have a $50,000 grant that we've received to do that, to look into it. So infrastructure is the big factor. You see all this down here. We have not a lot of infrastructure in places where it needs to go. Growth follows that. So we were just talking about this with Urban Renewal District. Growth follows wherever you put the infrastructure. Urban renewal is under evaluation. That connects very closely to this, is what we were just talking about. And we want to align these tools with state frameworks for grants and other funding. And then the fifth area we were talking about was the emergency operations center concept with the city hall. Save a lot of money, use other people's money, get a better product at the end of the day. So we're looking to get a better seismic building, co-locate emergency services like fire and EMS, and then also coordinate with regional partners like our emergency management director at the county level. And align those with regional priorities as well. So that was just a primer. We talked about all of that. The EOC piece, we're, like I said, looking to co-locate those emergency services for disaster response. So first responders, equipment, food, water, emergency shelter supplies, administrative offices. So ones that people can come from the federal government or the state government and even our own folks. Multi-agency response and recovery, as well as warming shelter and evacuation space, something that we currently don't have.
In addition to the warming shelter, shouldn't we have a cooling shelter?
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like my
it'd be both.
thermos, right? I mean,
Same
I
thing.
can put hotter, yeah, it's, we can have people come in there, absolutely. I wanted to lay out for you how I'm thinking about how all of these things come together. We've got a lot of projects. We have many millions of dollars in projects. They have to work together with each other. Otherwise, we don't quite get it right. So what we're starting right now is a strategic plan process. Along with that strategic plan should be a media plan. How we utilize our Facebook, the newspaper articles that are out there, the county folks who get information out, our social media, have a targeted plan. And I'll go over each of these yellow pieces in separate meetings in the future when we get closer to this. I'll be proposing to you what these plans perhaps should look like. And then we want an impact study that tells us how much money, and this is part of what the Urban Renewal District is going to do as well, how much money we need to spend and how much money we can get from other people. So that's where the regional and state coordination come in, and a community investment campaign that happens sometime around the summer of 2027, around the exact same time that we're doing our in-water work. That's when we start going out to the community. So right now you're seeing us spend a lot of time with our state and our regional partners and our electeds and the county folks. We're drumming up that interest, really letting them know that we have grants that are going out, what the projects are going to be, and get all that excitement moving along between now and the middle or the summer of 27, and then pivot towards the community because the community wants to donate as well. In one gala meeting, in one gala event that I had at one of my last projects, we brought in a $1 million donor, anonymous donor who came in and just wanted to put their name on the building. So that came as a result of doing all the early work first and having those electeds and those other regional partners say, yeah, it's a good thing. And the newspaper articles to support it. So here's a little bit about our grant strategy development. We want to seek grant opportunities that support these capital projects. And we want them from the state, the federal government, and regional partners like our coordinated care organization, our community service center, the economic development district, and nonprofit foundations that are out there. There's a lot out there. We want to collaborate with our community partners and get letters of recommendation. You actually have in front of you, we'll talk about this in a few minutes, 6 letters of recommendation for the grant that I submitted at night on Friday from regional partners. And then also to promote those programs. So here are the grants. These are not, it is not an exhaustive list, but these are the primary grants that are 5 to 6 digits and 7 digits, some of them, that are significant and meaningful towards helping us build out these projects. We just submitted the community project funding to Val Hoyle for $2.4 million was the request. That is correct. So that just got submitted last week.
Is there a reason the one is bolded?
Which one? Yeah, I'll talk about that in a second, actually. The congressionally directed spending, that's the Senate version of what I just submitted. That's coming up here real soon. There's the Ford Family Foundation that does technical assistance grants. I know we've worked for them in other projects before. It's time to let them know about our infrastructure. There's the Housing Infrastructure Support Fund that comes from Oregon Housing and Community Services. And then we'll go back to Ford Family Foundation again for their Good Neighbor Grant. The ones with asterisks are the ones that provide capital funding. So they allow you to build infrastructure and buildings. A lot of these grants don't allow that. The one in bold has currently been defunded by this administration, but there's a big lawsuit about that. One of my prior clients received this funding, and that's in a legal battle right now. But it is one of the biggest amounts of funding you can get. It's typically $3, $4, up to $10 million for big projects. That also was an emergency operations.
That looks like it's the one that's kind of geared towards seismic stuff.
It is, yeah, the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities. That will come back. It's been one of the most popular bipartisan funding tools for a really long time. I don't know why it went out. There's a big court battle over it. We'll see what happens, but this will come back. It'll absolutely come back.
Well, and it would be wise to get our ducks in a row anyway, so when it does, we can hop right on it.
Exactly.
And Hoyle, Val Hoyle, as well as Merkley and Wyden are all over this because a lot of Oregon communities are being really hampered by not getting that funding. So I expect this to get refunded. We'll see what happens, but that's in bold because currently it's just in that kind of status. Here's where those map. So what I've done is I've taken the submission timelines, the submission dates for each one of these grants between now and March 2027. And so you can see A through N is all plotted specifically where it will be submitted to that grant funder.
Looks like you got one right away.
We just did it.
Yeah.
A was the one that I just submitted. So that's the one that's in front of you now.
Mhm.
B is going to be the one that goes to Merkley and Wyden for the Senate side. And then we have several other grants coming forward. Now I want to tell you, there's about 10 more that I didn't put on here, simply because there wasn't real estate for it. And some of them aren't as big in terms of value. But each one of these has a narrative. Each one of these has a different type of project. And you've got to be able to input the details into that narrative, into that grant to make you competitive. Now, how do you do that? That's what I'm about to tell you about. So public participation. We just did our first one. This is where we facilitate public meetings and workshops and open houses to gather input from community members, local businesses, and stakeholders. The goal there is to develop, implement strategies that will, engage a wide group of people, wide range of stakeholders. That community feedback is community driven, of course, and it helps us with decision making. And we want to incorporate that into our outreach. So that outreach plan that we were talking about, presentations, videos, newspaper articles, this is the stuff that we're trying to plot out. The primary focus here is collecting data. We want multiple stakeholders and multiple data points because that's what we're putting in to those grants. So here's a little bit about that. So the first one was our Monroe Community Town Hall, just had that. Event 2 and all of the future events, we'd like to have a newspaper article and at least a presentation or a video or something to go along with it that can get put on social media and the website. I haven't identified anything for event 2 or event 3, but I put a couple things in here as teasers. Like during the winter time, it would be a great plan. I've done this before, it's very successful to have the high school come in and do a challenge, maybe on the Emergency Operations Center, because that's something that gets people scared and thinking, right? And then go home and teach their parents about what they learned. And their parents are, of course, voters and citizens. An educational simulation and tabletop exercise, maybe around the springtime. More room to just sort of fill in other event ideas. Think about the seasonality. Maybe an interactive community webinar during the wintertime. Storytelling event. The goal is to have multiple ways of interacting with different types of people. Some person might show up to an online thing, but never come to in person. Vice versa for other folks. We want to make sure we're getting as much feedback as possible. Here's how that would look on this plan. What you essentially have is your next event preceded by a newspaper article that talks about what it is we're wanting to get out there, a specific focus for a project, a presentation or a video to go with it, all feeding in towards the actual event itself, all feeding into the next grants that are coming up.
I love it. I love it.
So this is intended, we know what grants are coming up. We know what those events should look like. We know what we need to say to people. We know the questions we want to ask them in order to get the details and the data that's going to make our grants competitive. At the very same time, that we're doing this public education and outreach, we're still coordinating with our regional and state partners. We're telling them about all that great information that's coming from the community, all the things that we're doing. We're generating interest, letting them know about, all of the cool stuff. And then at some point, right around June of 2027, when that dam starts coming down and people are very interested in paying attention, that's when we do our big public focus and start to get the outreach out there and bring in other private dollars as well and support. So that is kind of the grand strategy. And along with this, so that you see this right here in this gray, council will receive quarterly reports. And those quarterly reports will essentially summarize the event, the newspaper article, the video, the grant that got submitted, all of the regional partners that supported it, and help us get ready for that next 3-month cycle. So that's the grand plan, you guys. This is what I've been working on for the last, pretty much since I
I
started.
like it.
A lot of work.
I think it's brilliant. You have taken a lot of information and you've condensed it into a nice, concise format that everybody understands what the next project is, what the next step is, what we need to be working on. And that gives us talking points. And that's huge. So thank you. Really, truly, thank you for that.
Yeah, that's a really great point. It does. It gives you all the ammo that you need to be out there and be more effective as counselors.
It really does. Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
And it's nice to see it organized in a manner that looks like we can actually accomplish
Yeah.
something. In past, it's been this fire, that fire, this fire, that fire.
Yeah,
This is
bouncing
a
around.
clearly laid out plan that is achievable.
And so, for example, our regional solutions team visit and the town hall, all of that went directly into the grant that just got submitted. And we're telling Val Hoyle that we had people show up. The regional folks are supporting us. And actually, as a really great segue, if it's okay, sir, I'd like to just
Go ahead.
talk about
Yes, please.
that's actually 5.1. This grant that you have in front of you. These are the responses that I submitted. It was an online form, so it wasn't something that I submitted. There wasn't an actual document to give you. So what I did is I just copied and pasted every single answer into a Word document as I went along, and it got submitted. There was also a budget piece, and so I had a spreadsheet that I put together that basically is what you're seeing in question 7. The budget breakdown, that's just kind of the text version of that. But here's the punchline. We're asking for $2.4 million. The total cost, rough estimate for that water line and everything involved would be about 4.85 million. So we're telling them that we're not asking for all of it. We're asking for a portion of what we need. And the breakdown there for the total amount. What is on number 8? They say, what is the minimum viable funding amount? What is the minimum you can get from us without the project breaking down? That's 1.2 million. And the reason for that is because we're putting it under a footbridge rather than drilling underneath. And that footbridge is being paid for by a separate pool of money. So we're demonstrating to them that, yeah, we would love to have 2.4 million. That would help us do kind of the whole shebang. But what they like to do, what they have to do oftentimes, because there's a lot of disagreement and fighting over a limited amount of money between a lot of representatives, is they'll say, okay, can that particular requester take less money? The answer is yes, you remain in the running. If the answer is no, you didn't give them an option or a way to break it down,
Right.
then they're just going to kick you out.
And that's
So
it.
that's what we've done there. And then we just go into, you can feel free to please read this. And then let me know if you have feedback or thoughts, but evidence of community support. I listed out all of the letters of recommendation that I've attached to this for you, so you can see at the end. I also prepared a letter that people could just take and adapt for themselves, which is why you notice the verbiage is similar in some of these letters. Some folks didn't have more than 5 minutes to put their name at the bottom of it and stick it on their letterhead. We want to make it easy for them. So that's what we'll continue doing for each project. But this is an example of how the grants will get submitted and how all of this work will end up becoming a better quality grant proposal. And this for the quick review, and also if there are any members of the public listening, we received letters of recommendation from Benton County, who pulled that off in hours.
The Benton County Board of Commissioners, yep.
Yep, Benton County Board of Commissioners, Gabe Shepard pulled that off in a matter of hours, which was awesome. All of them Every one of them pulled it off within a matter of hours because they only gave us 7 days to submit from the time that the grant came open to the time it closed. It was a 7-day window. And in that 7 days, I had to come up with what the heck we were going to ask for and the budget and everything else. And that took me 3 to 5 days, along with everything else I have going on. And so then once we got towards that last day, they knew this was coming, but I had to craft a letter for them and send it out.
I have one quick question.
Yeah.
I know that you said later that we're gonna talk, put it under a bridge, and that's what we're all talking about anyway. But on number 2, you said the funding will support design and phase 1 construction of a redundant wastewater conveyance crossing beneath Long Tom Road.
Correct. So
I just wanted to make sure.
yeah, so we're not drilling. I didn't ever said drilling. I just said beneath. What I don't want to do is introduce another project.
Ah.
Because what they'll do is they'll read, wait a minute, what's going on? Or there 2 things going on here? What they're gonna do is they're gonna have several questions for folks. They're gonna come back and drill us and they're gonna ask me for a lot more information, just like we got for the OWRD.
Okay.
When that happens, I sit down with a grant administrator and I have an opportunity to share my screen. And I say, no, let me explain this to you. Here's how it works. And that's why the 1.2 million factors
Okay.
in. This is really just limited amount of, it's almost like submitting a resume. You get very little time with the person reviewing it. And I don't want to complicate things.
Yeah, okay, that's answers me perfectly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a good question. They know, I've already had conversations with them. The first thing you do when you submit a grant is you speak to the grant administrator.
Yeah.
So that's
I
the
just
first
wanted to
thing.
know if that was gonna cause us any problems, but it doesn't.
Nope, not at all. Because they'll come back and they'll say, okay, how? Tell me how. We'd love your project. How does that work? And I'll say, oh, well, it has to do with this bridge.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do with that. So we have, as I was saying, the letters of recommendation from the Benton County Board of Commissioners, the Monroe School District, the Fire District, Harrisburg from Michelle Eldridge, and the Long Tom Watershed Council as well.
South Benton. Did you already say South Benton?
Oh, thank you. And yes, I reached out to them as well. And they did. They pulled it off.
You said the minimum was 5?
I was wrong. The minimum was 3. I
Oh, the minimum was 3.
mistyped in my text.
Oh.
And the minimum was 3. I got 5, so we were in good shape.
Yeah.
And so what did we have altogether? I think 6 or 7.
The fire department, something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Chris was the first one to get it to me. Great. He's a great partner. So those are all of the big pieces tonight. Those are all the presentations and the materials in front of you. I went over a lot. Thank you for your time and your attention. I do
Got
appreciate it.
the dam project.
That is it, right? And so that's the
Yeah.
last thing is just a discussion. I
Okay.
wanted to make a recommendation to council. I'm not gonna belabor this one. This is a simple one. At some point in time, the 1135 Dam Committee naturally disbanded. My recommendation is as we start getting into design decisions, council decisions and funding and actual work, is that this council consider reforming that 1135 Dam Committee. And I'll give you a couple of reasons why. We have some engineers coming in because it relates to our water system and our intake. I'd love to have some folks on that committee, like Roger Irwin, for example, who's a civil engineer. And I floated to him, I said, if this committee ever reforms, would you be interested in sitting on it? He goes, absolutely. It sounds fun and interesting. I'd like to have some folks who can help us think through some of the more detailed design related pieces of this project. Now that we're taking it from this pie in the sky concept into a real on the ground project, strongly recommend that this council consider reforming that committee and having that committee report back regularly between now and the end of the project.
I don't know what anybody else's perception is, but I think John Gradanis is a pretty good
Yeah.
resource there too.
Yes, and there's been kind of I guess that I would call it a working group. Jed from the Long Tom Watershed Council.
Yep.
John Gradanis and Torrin, and that's it. There are several other people on that committee. And also, now that we're getting into design related topics, there's nobody in that working group who has an engineering background, who has a finance background, or any of the other things that we want to be thinking about as we go through that process and that project, and also thinking about how it touches some of these other projects that we're wanting to do. So it's,
You might look at some.
I completely agree with you.
That's a great
I think
point.
that having some farmers on, Absolutely, because the thing is, once we demonstrate that the concerns they have aren't concerns, they help do the work for us. They help get that out there.
I do have a question. The water intake, do we have to wait for the dam to be taken down before we can actually move
The
that?
engineer's gonna tell us. I don't know.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Chuck has a thought. None of us are engineers, so we can just,
You could pile drive plates in
Yep.
upstream and make an actual dry well.
Like a coffer,
Stuff.
yeah.
some of it's gonna have to do with the 404 and 408 permits that come from the Army Corps of Engineers, because there's a lot to this project.
I would assume they're gonna probably do a little excavating to put it in.
They'll tell us what the proper way is, and
And have to sink it below the bed of the river.
yeah, and OHA will approve it. I think that we need a committee that looks at these sorts of things as the dam project starts to ramp up. So if council would like to guide me to add that to the agenda for this coming meeting, based on my recommendation, I would do that. If you would like to wait until a later date, that's fine as well. I wanted to put it out there though, because we're really starting to hit the ground.
So just to be clear, if we reform the committee, it doesn't necessarily have to have the same people
No, it
that was
doesn't.
on it before.
So for example, Todd and Amy really shouldn't be on that committee because they are stakeholders, direct.
Well, and
stakeholders.
Mr. Broadley was on it too.
Yeah, because they have the property there that's
Yeah.
affected, right?
Yeah, and I'm less concerned about them. Like the Niestrums are making an actual decision about whether the mill rate
Right,
stays
this
or
is
goes.
correct.
They own the property.
They own
that it's
people.
on. They are directly involved.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
even the perception of anything being different than what the community would want to see can create problems. Eliminate the perception. I've already talked to Todd and Amy about this. They're like, cool. All right. Fire chief, absolutely. Well, my development review committee is going to be reviewing this in April. And the fire chief is on that committee. And one of the things we're going to ensure is that all of his requirements are met as we go down this road. I'm not going to wait until we're almost done with the dam coming down and somebody goes, well, what about fire? And it's not happening.
The other problem, we're right in the middle of rebuild the seismic fire station.
Yep.
So this time's gonna be limited.
What would that joint operation emergency response thing be involved with their rebuilds?
So there's a lot of opportunity and options there. If they structurally support that enough and an engineer says you can keep that portion of that building, it can,
Attached to it?
yeah, absolutely. And that probably be what happens. Right now, they're getting seismic upgrades. They're in a very similar situation as us, as they can't get themselves to perfect. So they got a grant to get themselves to as close as possible. It's only $1.5 million. Sounds like a lot, but it is not.
No.
And so they're really going to just reinforce their building. At the end of the day, that'll.
Well, that's just gonna be, you can get the trucks out before it falls.
And the reason I didn't involve myself in his grant now is because I could,
It's the metal part of the building, isn't it? It's not the brick part of the building the trucks are in.
Trucks are.
Yeah.
I could create problems for him if his grant funder was aware of the fact that we're like talking about this seriously. And that building and those improvements might not be what they're being told. And I don't know that for a fact yet. So I don't want to get involved in his grant process until I know. for
Right,
sure.
understood.
I have a question on choosing the members of the committee for the 1135. Is that going to be the sole responsibility of council?
Yes, the council needs to select those members. The mayor appoints committee members, but I would recommend that council have a discussion. And what you would do, here's how I'm thinking about this, is that you would direct me to reform that we're reforming the committee.
Mhm.
And then my job would be then to go and identify the members who were previously on there that we still want there. Identify people who would like to be on it through an application. And the following month, seat them formally.
So we'll call it 2027 committee.
Yeah, right.
That's what we're gonna go.
Why is it called the 1135?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's what the federal government calls
The
the program.
code,
Yeah.
there's a code for everything under the federal regulations. It's code 1135.
Okay, on the CFR, okay.
And that's the code for.
C3, for example.
I'm very well versed in it, actually.
That's the same thing. It's just the code. It's just
Okay.
just a code.
And that's just the federal code for a dam removal?
Yep. The Army Corps of Engineers is under 1135 for their dam removal program.
And we're like number 10 in the state that's been removed already.
Yeah, there's been several projects that they funded. For them, it's a great deal because they don't have to worry about maintaining some piece of infrastructure forever.
And they actually
End of
own
life.
the dam.
Yeah.
And I guess, here's a quick question, which I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about. And I haven't really talked about it since I've gone on the council again, but I know there was one time a question of water rights, whether we even had the rights to pull from that river.
Don't make me go there, Harry.
Okay.
Why even bring it up?
Future question.
Not tonight.
Well, I know that there were certain organizations, whether they were NGOs or cities or whatever, they were actually trying to buy up all the water rights and take them from people.
Yeah,
There were
so
Speculators coming from other.
water rights is going to be something that is globally just very difficult moving forward, but in the state of
Yeah,
Oregon, a
water,
lot-
waterways are kind of controlled by states,
it is controlled by
Army Corps
states.
of Engineers. It don't matter if people want to try and buy them up or not.
The McKinsey was coming under a lot of fire. There's some kind of investment group that was trying to buy up all the water rights or control them or sue for them.
For an annual year, we have more water than we ever could use. We're using about 5% of our total water rights, which is fine. So we could expand 20 times.
And
And
the
be
only reason I
fine.
know this is because we were looking at
Water in their lawns.
reopening some wells.
Yeah, but and we might, because the challenge is though that, just to give it very clearly, there are certain months of the year where we're not allowed to pull from the river. And we have been anyway. And they continuously tell us that we're not supposed to. And they keep asking us for an annual report that says how we're getting closer to finding an alternative. We have yet to submit that annual report. The first one was due in 2009.
There was even a talk of a pipeline from the Willamette all the way over.
I just read an article about a gentleman that was collecting rainwater on his land in
You
Oregon.
cannot do it.
Yeah.
And he was being taken to court.
Yep, there's a guy that went to jail, did 30 days.
Yep.
Because of it. It's a big deal. It's waters of the state. And so you can't just build a big retention pond and keep it.
Yeah.
So why can't put rain barrels on my land?
Nope.
It's getting more and more like that. We used to think that air and water were unlimited. And that's not true.
Yeah, matter
Oh,
of
so I
fact,
was
they
gonna
went
do
in-
that much to water my yard.
Right.
In this
they're trying to go
summer.
after private wells.
Yep.
They want, the state wants to put a meter on everybody's well.
So folks, just as a quick review. On the next agenda, I will add the decision for council to consider an urban renewal district technical advisory committee.
Mm-hmm.
And I will also include the consideration of restarting the 1135 committee. In addition to the other things that we have.
Agreed.
Yes, I agree.
No lack
Okay.
of things to do.
You know, the city, bought that third lagoon property from Hubbard's over here.
Yeah.
Wouldn't, be a bad idea to check with Hubbard's, see if, help them do really well. Just supply water to the team.
We actually still have wells. We still
I
have,
know what to do, but
They're full of arsenic.
Yeah.
One of them is.
There's iron or arsenic or whatever the problem.
Well,
Yeah.
and according to what we were told,
Mm.
whether that's true or not, they don't have enough gallons per minute to be able to do.
Yeah.
the other challenge is that we're also in the groundwater management area where there's elevated levels of nitrate. This is what I did my master's project on, and we're in it, directly in it. So I was out here in Monroe testing water back in 2017 and 16.
That's who it was.
I was gonna say,
I went around, use for irrigation has a lot of.
If we use wells, we have to remove those nitrates or report. There's a lot that goes into it.
It fertilizes the grass really well.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Makes really green grass.
Okay. I am adjourning, folks. Have a lovely evening.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good